This is the Retro Inc. podcast. Welcome back.
Hello everyone, and welcome back to the Retro Inc. podcast with me, Andy, and my lovely co-host, Adam.
Hello, good evening, and welcome.
Hello, how are you?
I'm very well, sir. You're looking well. You're looking slightly bronzed from a little bit of a beach day out.
Yeah, we had a bit of a surprise beach day, yes. It was quite
very nice.
Yeah, filled with drama and suspense, however it was much enjoyable, so...
Fantastic,
yeah.
Yes. Any other events happen this week to you at all?
Any other events this week? Apart from a sucky week at work,
Yes.
I did actually get a nice, well, I say it was a nice surprise in the end, but at first, so it was Wednesday morning, about 6 o'clock, I got up for work, and then I came downstairs, and I did some bits and bobs, and I turned the corner into the front room, and there was a man standing in my front room, with a gun pointed right at me. Needless to say, I pooped my pants, and this was a bit of a brown trousers situation. And it turned out there was a life-size cutout of Finn standing smack bang in the middle of my front room, which was a nice surprise in the end. My wife had bought it for me, which was very lovely of her. She went out that night to Blue Water near us to go to rock climbing with her cousin. And she decided to buy it for me before she'd been rock climbing, so she had to carry this life-size Finn around, all around Blue Water with her all night. So yeah, but that was a nice little surprise. And then she treated me, I thought she's been quite nice to me this week, but she also bought me a lovely little Funko, a Leia, number 4. So,
oh, lovely.
Yeah, so it's the Leia in the white dress with the buns, proper princess Leia.
Nice.
But yeah, nice little one to add to the collection now. So
nice.
Yeah, I've got some...
Did she carry a blaster?
Oh, I think so. Off the top of my head, I'm not 100% sure now. I'm assuming she does.
Well, that's worth 50 quid on the vintage market.
I feel bad not knowing that now. I'm gonna have a quick little look.
Well, talking of Funko Pops, there was a release of a couple of photographs of Prince. His Funko Pop. They're going to be releasing, I think, 5 or 6 editions of Prince, and this will be... because I have owned BB-8 and Boba Fett, and I bought the Deadpool truck from San Diego Comic-Con exclusive. That went in the loft. I gave Boba Fett away, and I don't know where BB-8 is, but I will definitely be getting the Funko Pops Prince character.
Nice. Yeah, you did send me the links to them, and they are rather cute, aren't they?
It looks cool. Yeah, I'll be getting those, and obviously picking up the Tron figure. So, does she carry a weapon?
She does. Yes,
yeah, little
she does
blaster.
indeed. Yeah, I've just had a bit of a quick Google at the Leia number 4, and she has got a blaster on her, but she is rather cute.
Oh, nice. Will that be staying in the box, or?
All of my Funkos stay in the box, mate. They do. My Dorbs come out of the box. That's the one where I draw the line, and my Dorbs come out, and my Funkos stay in. And I think, to be honest with you, it's not because I think they're going to go up in value. We know that some of them are valuable, but it's more for the fact that I just like them in the box. I think they just look really... It's a lovely way to display them. They're in a little window box. They've got the logo at the top. They've got the name underneath. I just think they look really cool. And as saying, cause she got me the number 4, and I thought to myself, do you know what? This is the point. I'm getting to the point now where I've got quite a few of these. I think I'm nearing 30 Funkos. I thought, why don't I try and actually get... Not them all, but start at the start, work from number 1, and see how many I can physically and affordably get my hands on, because I know that 1 or 2 of them are a little bit more expensive. So I had a look at number 1. Yeah. Straight off the bat, it's a Darth Vader. Yeah. And it's got a variant. Right. So we've got Darth Vader number 1, normal Darth Vader, but then we've got a Darth Vader number 1, which is a chrome variant. And I was like, right, okay, so this is where the problem starts to lie here. However, I thought to myself, well, no, because there's other Vaders down the line, so I think I'm going to go for the chrome number 1. and then, you know, get the other Vader doing it, because I've got a Vader unmasked, and then I'll find another one.
Listen, wait. Are you going to get number 1 to 30? Or are you going to start varying different...
Well, because I've already got some of that, like 146 and things like that.
Oh, I see.
So
right.
I'm thinking I'm going to start at number 1, because a lot of them are the OT characters.
Because you don't want to double up, do you? You don't want to double up.
No, and that's what I'm going to try and plan here, because some of the ones that are double ups are variants. So I think with number 1, I'll get the Chrome, because I've already got an unmasked Vader, and then I think there's a Vader for Rogue One, if I'm not mistaken. I'll have to look into it, but there are other Vaders that I've seen, so I'm going to go for the Chrome there. And he was about, if I remember right, he was about £20. So that's not a ridiculous price. Yeah, it is affordable. That's a nice little, when I get a little bit of money here and there, I'll buy myself one. I can, you know. Then I looked at number 2, which was Yoda, and he was £10. Brilliant. That's fine. Soon as payday comes round, I'll buy myself number 2 Yoda and get him sent to me. Number 3, Han Solo, £40. I was like, now we're getting...
That's OT? Is it black and white?
Yes, yeah, because like I say, a lot of the original ones are, like the first run are some of the OT characters. But I think even that one, I was like, do you know what? That's not ridiculously priced. I mean, it is expensive, for a Funko.
Check out is the Facebook Marketplace.
Yeah,
it's a really good place to look. Actually, I see a lot of job lots going on there as well as individuals, and it's always worth the look there, mate.
Yeah, totally. I mean, there you go. I'm going to quickly try and show you. That's the you can see that. That's the OT Han Solo with a black vest, with his blaster as well. But I say that's £40. Then I've got the layer, and then you've got a Chewie, and so a lot of the OT characters are the first lot. So I thought, do you know what? I'm going to actually try and do this. So I'm now going to sit down, and I think I'm going to focus, because I said to you about focusing anyway. I'm going to focus a lot on Black Series, Vintage, and Funkos, and they're going to be my three things. Anything else is a bonus. You know, when I see something like my Finn cutout that my wife got me, £5 she paid for that. I think that's a phenomenal price for a full-size standee cutout, and that's going to look great in my little nerd room. However, I think I'm going to focus on those 3 things and really start to sort of do some homework on it, rather than just free fire. I'll buy one here and there. I really love my Funkos. I know they're not for everyone, but yeah, let's do this.
Good idea. I think that's a great little focus. I'm now completely at a loss what to do about Black Series 6-inch figures, because the exclusives are getting far too difficult to get. And now with the demise of Toys R Us, finding them around my area is getting harder. And so it's always now online, and the prices have gone from what the retail is, which is $24.99, to sort of $39 and above. And it's it is getting increasingly more difficult to pick them up. So what I'm probably going to do at some point is I think on display I shall keep the first wave, which have got the first day of release stickers on.
Are they the orange and black?
That's right, and they've got a little orange first day of release stickers. I'll keep them out on display because they're rather exclusive. And I've got the San Diego Comic Con exclusive Boba Fett with Han and Carbonite, and the Jabba the Hutt throne room.
Yeah.
And there's, and I think I'll keep the blue and orange range. And what I might keep is just those that kind of have some cohesion with those. So, for example, the bounty hunters, and try and get hold of Zuckuss and Forlom when I can find those, because I'm finding them difficult to track down, especially Forlom.
I know. I totally understand what you're saying about this.
It's just getting more and more harder to get, and I've come really despondent with them. I've never opened any. They're all stored in huge boxes in my loft, and it's just, it's getting to a point where you think, okay, there's something has to give. Hot toys is my thing. Vintage toys is my other thing. So I need to sort of really focus, and I think I've bought enough Black Series. The helmets I shall continue buying, and I think certain larger vehicles like the Dewback and the Land Speeder I've got, and the TIE Fighter, and I'm not sure about Nest Speeder. I know I
love that. I think it looks really cool.
There was a shot of Boba Fett's helmet, and I'm not sure whether that was a Photoshop or not, but if that gets released, that will replace my Hasbro helmet. But I'm giving up on those.
Well, I think if that Boba Fett gets released, that's going to be like trying to get hold of Unicorn Poo.
Yeah.
That really is. It's going to be a hard one. But I couldn't agree with you more with the Black Series. There's something...
We don't have a Target. We don't have a Walmart.
No, our boys in the US and Canada just don't get it, do they? How hard it is for us over here. And it's like you say, you become despondent.
Mate, but with a British guy at the helm at Hasbro, you'd think actually he'd have a little bit more compassion for Britain and Europe, because it is Britain and Europe that is really suffering with these.
And like you say, you become despondent. There's a certain... Well, there isn't a certain excitement. There's an excitement about buying figures and toys, isn't there? As a collector, and you go into a shop and you go on the hunt. And when we had a Toys R Us and that, there'd be some days where I'd be at home and I'd say to my wife, "I'm going out." I went on a little toy hunt myself. I'd go around a few Smiths, a couple of entertainers. I'd go to Toys R Us. I'd go to a Morrison's and an Asda that are all round in my area, and I'd have a look for them. And they've all started to drop off. Morrison's have got a couple in, but they're all old ones. There's, I can buy a 10 a penny Gin Ursos and Cassian Andors. And
Morrison's are part of the Walmart group, aren't they?
That's Asda.
That's
are part
Asda,
of Walmart,
okay.
yeah.
Right.
And their prices round here, I've got 2 Asdas within 5 minutes drive of me. I live in between 2 of them. And one of them was doing Funkos at £8 and the other one had them at 15. One of them is doing the 3 3/4 inch Last Jedi figures at £5. One of them has still got them up for full price.
Right.
There's no congruence with their prices across the board in their stores. But especially when it comes to the Black Series, there's the one or two, like I got the Revan and I was so happy that I got Revan, and I also got, her name escapes me now and I can't believe this, the Hera, not Hera. Who is it? The Mandalorian in Rebels. Blimey. Why have I lost it here? Mm-hmm. I got her as well, and I picked them up and they're great and they sit on my shelf pride of place. But then I kind of start thinking to myself, like you say, the price tag on some of them. I love all the Funkos because they seem to be there's something enjoyable about looking at them. Even some of the minor characters, they still look kind of cute. But when it comes down to the Black Series and I'm buying another Trooper and another
version of Grey.
Yeah, or exactly. And why am I spending £20 on these? And that's a lot of money when you start to add up how many there are, and you average them out, say even at £12.50 a piece on an average. That's a lot of money. I was very privileged to receive a list over the last day or two from somebody who gave me sort of an insider's list of what was coming out via a British toy shop. And it was all very well me looking down this list and seeing what was forthcoming and what was being released, if they had it in stock. So, so the Entertainer, which is a British toy shop, they close on a Sunday. So that leaves the rest of the week to try and go in there, only to find that the one or two that's in the case, which is the one that's always going to be harder to get, they don't have. So then you have to go online, and then you have to pay 10, 15, 20 pounds more for that figure. So I've had it with that personally. No, I agree. I had it with because Entertainer is right near me, as you know, in Bluewater, and when we had Revengate going on, I knew full well that they'd had, because I knew the pulls in the boxes and the counts, that I knew they'd had those boxes in now. And I went in to see if they they had a Revan, and I went in one day, and this guy that was working there, he looked straight at me as I was looking through the Black Series, and he went, "Looking for Revan, mate?" And I was like, "Yeah." And he went, "Yeah, he's already gone." I was like, "Oh, poo." And he was like, and I started talking with this guy, really nice fella he is. I actually want to try and get him on one day to have a talk about Black Series collecting, because he is a big collector himself, it turns out. But I started talking to him about it, and he said to me, he went, "Look, I can see you really want one." He said, "What I'll do is, I know that we've got another delivery coming in on Tuesday. I'll take your number, add me on Facebook," and he did it all there for me. He said, "And what I'll do is, on Tuesday when it comes in, I'll hold it for you." He said, "I can hold it for a couple of days. It's yours. I'll sort you out." I was like, okay. Didn't think much of it. I said my thanks and everything. Didn't think much of it, thinking that, open promises and et cetera, et cetera. And then, Tuesday come round, nothing. And I was like, oh, okay. And then Wednesday, I was driving for at work, and my phone went off, and I get this little message from this guy, and it says, I've got Revan for you. And I was like, get in. So I went flying down there, and I went in store, and he said to me, he said, I'm so sorry. And I was like, what? He went, it's gone. He said, one of the other staff members took it. I was like, oh, okay, mate, that's fine. I said, appreciate it. He said, I have saved, it was Sabine, that was it, isn't it? And he said, I've saved you Sabine. Do you want her? I'll do you a discount. I was like, yep, great. I'll take Sabine. Cause even he said to me, like he said, if you take Sabine, you might even be able to use that as leverage on one of the groups to try and get yourself a Revan. I was like, fair point. You know, that's cool. So I bought Sabine, and he said, look, he said, the next one that comes in will definitely be yours. And I was like, okay, no worries. I understand. You know, staff took it. It's not, you know, but literally 2 or 3 days later, this guy called me and said he's got Revan for me. Fantastic. But you got to see what I went through there to get one figure, right? This was 2 or 3 trips into a store. Had I have not spoken to this guy, it could have been 7 or 8 trips with no luck of actually getting that one figure. Why is it so hard? But yeah, I can still walk in there to this day and buy myself a Death Trooper.
Yeah.
Like, there are 4 or 5 of them on the shelf for the last 4 months of these Death Troopers, but yet there are no figures that people actually want to buy. And I understand the whole point is they put less in to make them more rare and more valuable and more, you know, sought after. And that's kind of the idea with collecting, isn't it? If everything was in abundance, it wouldn't be.
The point, Andy, is this. If you're bringing out a wave, and in that wave of 5 figures is a Stormtrooper, you put 10 in a box. So you can army build. You put 5 of the main characters in, and you make sure that the ones that you know are going to be very popular, you make sure they're in there as well. You have an even distribution because it's fair. That's the end of it.
But what they do, don't they? They shoot themselves in the foot because these small shops. Yeah.
40th anniversaries, R2 was going for 50 and Lahan was going for that. And I remember when Ahsoka and Black Series, you know, I remember at Star Wars Celebration, they had £70 on those.
It's ridiculous.
There was no way I was going to buy that. And just a few weeks later, one pops up in my Toys R Us store. So
yeah,
it's just not great.
But it's not great. And the trouble is, it kills collecting. It damages the shops, and I understand, and I'll get to this point in a minute, I understand why they're reluctant to do this, but it's Hasbro's fault here with this. Because, for instance, say the Entertainer, they buy a lot of stock off of other people, don't they? I know that Entertainer had these waves of these Revans come through because they were stuff that was allocated for Toys R Us. And obviously Toys R Us closed, so they bought a lot of their stock cheap. So that's why there was a sudden flood in the market of these figures that people wanted. But the reason you go into these shops, isn't it? You know this, because these box pulls, these box counts they do, you know, they'll get, say, 10 shock troopers, 10 stormtroopers in a box. You'll get 1 Revan, 2 Sabines, and 3 layers. So the 3 layers go, the 2 Sabines go, the Revan goes, and a couple of stormtroopers. So they buy another box. And then you've got 15 stormtroopers sitting on a shelf, 1 layer, 1 Sabine, no Revan. Then they go, okay, so they open another box. Then you've got 25 stormtroopers sitting on a shelf, none of the other figures, and they go, we're not buying any more boxes of this because we're just going to have 30 stormtroopers sitting on a shelf. And that is where it kills them. And this is where Hasbro do it wrong, because these, especially small independent shops, you know, they go and buy a couple of these boxes wholesale to sell. They've already sold those figures before they've hit the shelf, more than likely. You know what independent shops are like. You've got a friend, you walk in there, he says, when it comes in, I'll save it for you. That is already sold. And then they're stuck. This small independent shop that is trying to get by is stuck with all of these unwanted figures on a shelf. There is no one to blame for this but Hasbro. Because Gary, the guy who owns this little shop in, you know, down by the seafront, can't afford to keep buying this stuff. The big shops can't afford, well, you know, say can't afford, they can, but they don't want to be reducing the price of these figures down to $5.99, and that's why they end up in B&M.
That's right. What we had back in the day was, you know, we had, the pegs were absolutely full of every single figure in the Star Wars range, and of course, one of the things as well that was very popular back there was, you know, you had Mutant Ninja Turtles, He-Man, Power Rangers. They were always available. Whether it was Mattel or Hasbro, whoever it was back in the day, it was always an easy thing to do. Is just go in a toy shop, there was your figure you wanted, and you walked out. And it was all pocket money prices. Yeah. So there we are. But I'm going to play you something now very quickly because this week I've had a couple of great pickups. Can you recognise this sound?
I can indeed.
So I walked into a small little market this week and I picked up for £10 an AT-AT walker. All stickers. There was just a few things missing. When I looked inside the battery compartment, there was something a little bit special inside. The chin guns.
Wow.
Now, chin guns for an AT-AT is around 50 quid for those. They were in the battery compartment. It was unbelievable. I mean, the battery compartment door was there. Inside, no batteries. I could hear something rattling. There's the chin guns. I mean, that's the major thing that costs. So I've got chin guns. I then ordered from a friend of mine who does parts. I ordered the side guns and the canopy and the side door. And now I have a fully restored AT-AT. But the motor wasn't working. So I had to take the whole thing apart. I fixed the motor, put the whole thing back together again. And now I've got a beautiful AT-AT. And now I have 3.
Wow.
So, very pleased.
How do you do this? There is no luck. I mean, I may have a toy shop's abundance in my area, but I don't get luck like this.
Well, just lucky and just really fabulous. The thing was that it was on the floor under some clothes.
Wow.
And when it was just, I couldn't believe it was there. So I thought, well, for 10 quid, I'm having that. And then I walked out of there and went back to my hometown. And I was having a little wander around while I had a little bit of time. And I walked into an Oxfam and picked up a heap of VHSs. So I got the remastered widescreen special editions of Star Wars with the fantastic cases.
I love them ones, yeah.
They're really nice. So all 3. And funnily enough, 2 out of these 3 have still got the shrink wrap on. So pick those up at 25 pence each. So what's that? Less than 50 cents. Then I'm leaving the shop. And as I walk out, they have both the silver and the gold VHS editions.
Nice.
With the Vader cases. Silver one.
I've got that one upstairs, yeah.
With the gold, yeah. Sleeves. Now I've already got these, so again I've doubled up. But for 50p a box. Now, I'm never going to play those, obviously, but, there is some really great retro stuff out there to find. So if you're not buying Black Series and paying extortionate prices, why not pick up some vintage stuff?
Oh, mate, yeah, of course.
Because they're still around.
I always do a little charity shop run.
Yeah, really great. Today I also went into CEX, which is a computer exchange store. I picked up the extended Blu-ray collector's edition of James Cameron's Avatar. This is the extended edition on Blu-ray as 3D set, £1. The remake of RoboCop with the sort of hologram front case, 50 pence on Blu-ray. And from another charity shop, I picked up the theatrical cut of Empire Strikes Back for 50p.
Wow.
So, Black Series, okay, they're getting tricky to get and hard to find, but there's still a lot of really great little bargains out there. Your shelves. Yeah, why not, get out there. Then, so while I'm rummaging around in Oxfam, as you do, there was a box of comics and magazines, and I went through and I found a 30th anniversary edition of the Star Wars magazine, 77 to 2007, celebrating 30 years of Star Wars, 100 pages. Found this magazine in there, and it's in beautiful nick.
That is lovely.
And, yeah, really pleased with that too. And so I went up to the desk and said, oh, how much are these? 10p. So there's lots of great stuff to find, so you don't have to go out spending a fortune on figures. So that's what I picked up, and I shall definitely be picking up those Funko Pops from of Prince, that's for sure.
Great stuff.
On the
right, sorry, what you was going to say then?
Star Wars news continuation.
We have Star Wars news. Yes, this is it. We've been talking a little bit of Star Wars here, and there's a reason for it, isn't there?
There is.
There is. I think this was what we were both getting to at this point then, wasn't there?
Well, I said it was, because there's two things, and I'm going to start with the sad news first. That Jeremy Bulloch, i.e. Boba Fett, has decided to finally hang up his boots, and is going to retire from all conventions. And this is a really sad thing, because we are slowly losing a lot of the veterans of 1977, 78, and 1980. And these guys who played our heroes are obviously getting older and can no longer come and see us, at conventions. So David Prowse obviously has now, decided to retire from conventions as his health is deteriorating, and Jeremy Bulloch isn't getting any younger. So
I wouldn't be surprised. Yeah, it is sad news. I wouldn't be surprised if Jeremy goes the route of David. And you can end up getting his autograph online somehow. That might be nice.
Get a bit away there.
I hope so, because I'm a bit gutted, because I did actually want to get a Boba Fett Funko and get Jeremy to sign it at some point, but it's not going to happen. But in better news,
than that is Mr. J.J. Abrams.
Oh, yeah.
He decided to give us a little gift of a photograph, and it was very difficult to tell what it was at first, but when you looked very carefully, you could see Finn and Chewie in the Falcon.
It was that dude in my front room. He's everywhere.
So obviously, Wednesday, episode 9 started filming, and JJ thought he'd just give us a little gift.
I'm gonna insert a sound of a party popper here for excitement. Yeah. Yeah. Wednesday, man, it started. What does that make us? Just over 500 days away.
17 months.
17 months. And we'll see the final instalment of the Star Wars saga. Yeah, but put it into terms of that. That's a baby. You can get pregnant and you'll have a 7-month-old baby at the end of it.
Wonderful.
Like, that's time flies when that happens.
Yeah.
So that's fine. It's fine. It's just gestating this body of Hollywood right now is carrying this beautiful seed of the final installment of the Star Wars Skywalker saga, and we're going to have this beautiful bouncing baby movie in 17 months, and I cannot wait, mate. And
we've also got the news that obviously now Carrie is going to be not CGI'd and played by herself with extra footage from The Force Awakens, so it's going to be so exciting. And
yeah. But we have some more Star Wars news ourselves. Shall we get into that now?
Shall we?
Because I think this is a great segue.
I think we should.
Mid-show, we've done 28 minutes we've been talking,
so
and
let's go back to about 2 years ago almost. Was it nearly 2 years ago when, I suppose it must be nearly 2 years.
Am I inserting in some sort of ethereal music here as we go back in time 2 years?
I joined after listening to a podcast called Talk Star Wars. I joined the VIP group, and through this group I met some wonderful, wonderful friends. Oh, and I met Andy as well. And we met up, and we've spoken over the years, and this is how we are who we are today and where we are. Now involved with Talk Star Wars, our other podcasts, and Andy, I'll leave the rest over to you.
So, Talk Star Wars is part of a thing called the Star Wars Commonwealth. Now, we said last week, didn't we, that we had some news this week, and I don't know, probably a lot of our listeners do listen to Talk Star Wars. I know that quite a few of them do listen to Talk Star Wars, so this won't come as any surprise, as their podcast dropped yesterday, and we are very proud to announce ourselves that we are now part of this Star Wars Commonwealth. In fact, I'm proud. I know you're proud, and they're bloody lucky to have us. But joking aside, it is an honour and a privilege to be part of this group of fantastic podcasters, such as, and I'm going to go through the list: Talk Star Wars, Tumbling Saber, The Nerd Room, Generation X-Wing, Rogue Squadron, the San Diego Sabres podcast, radio podcast, Skyhoppers podcast, Tatooine Sons, and Less Than 12 Parsecs. Now,
we round that up to number 10.
We round that up to number 10, but to be honest with you, mate, looking at the calibre of those podcasts, I am so humbled to be there. in a list like that with those names, it's astounding to think that, 3 months ago we started this and we get some love, and the love from our listeners has been brilliant over this last week, especially since we released our self-promotion episode. We have had a lot of people getting in touch with us. We've had some of our posts shared. I've seen people that even aren't part of the group talking on one of the posts as it's gone out into the wild. And it's so amazing to be part of this. So I'd like to, and I know you'll echo my sentiments, say a big thank you to everyone in the Star Wars Commonwealth for letting us be part of this amazing group of people.
Thank you,
that's
Rob.
What they are.
Thank you, Steve, and thank you, Tim, and all those that looked over our previous podcasts and made us worthy of your company. We are extremely humbled and very, very grateful. We are very passionate about what we do, why we do it, and we're in fantastic company, and we are going to be knocking on your door for advice, so be very, very wary of that. And we are just really astonished that so quickly have things progressed beautifully, and thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. So, yeah, it is like that though, to be honest, mate, isn't it? I mean, honestly, we started this, didn't we, 3 months ago, and the numbers have been getting better and better and stronger, and it makes it worth doing what we're doing. But when we get accepted for something like this, and we get to be part of a group of people and a group of podcasters that are passionate about the things they do, I feel like we must be hitting the right notes. We must be doing something right to be in we met through Talk Star Wars, me and you. And we, not just because we enjoyed the content, as it were, it's Star Wars, of course we're going to listen to it. But there's a certain caliber there of the way they talk about it, the passion they exude when they're talking about Star Wars that makes you interested. But it's also because it's such a community-based podcast,
that's right.
which the rest of them are as well. I'm going to use Talk Star Wars here because that's where I met you, but I know full well I listen to Tumbling Saber, I listen to Nerd Room, Generation X-Wing, Rogue Squadron, San Diego Sabres, Radio. I listen to them all. Yes, I go for the list every time I say this.
Both are subscribers to all other 9. And I think very importantly that we aren't just Star Wars fans. We are big Marvel, DC, comic book, Harry Potter, Lord of the Rings, gaming,
Buffy.
TV shows. You had to chuck that one in. Ready Player One. We're all fans.
The book, not the film.
Fans of nerdom and pop culture. So we are privileged to be amongst you guys, and thank you so much once again.
And we look forward to the future.
So
bring it on.
Let's get a little bit now from Star Wars to Star Trek, and some recent news dropped that Patrick Stewart, Jean-Luc Picard, will be rejoining the Star Trek franchise.
Oh, hell yeah!
It's very exciting.
It is, mate.
So we have a new series coming, in which he'll be part of this. Now, do you know any more news on whether this is going to be from the recent series that's been on Netflix?
Well,
or whether this is a brand new series?
Well, it's going to be on CBS All Access, which is their on-demand service, such as Netflix, etc., etc. It's going to air such as Discovery, so I think that means that it's going to come out weekly, because Discovery it didn't just come out in one big push, which, to be honest with you, I think works well with Star Trek, because it's quite traditional for it, and especially with something like this, it's it's got to keep its fans happy, hasn't it? It's very much a Star Wars thing here with Star Trek. That if
they get Star Trek wrong, there's a lot of very angry fans. So
there is, yeah.
Spot. And again, I think to give the Star Trek a bit more of a push, because let's face it, our beloved franchise gets a lot of attention, and Star Trek fans, of which we both are, don't get quite as much. We don't get quite as much product.
No.
So this is going to really feed a fantastic frenzy. I
have got a quote here from Patrick Stewart, if you want to hear it, because I believe this was announced in Las Vegas at a Star Trek convention. Now he played Jean-Luc Picard between 87 and 94 for the series, and then obviously there was movies all the way up until 2002 with Nemesis. So at this Vegas convention, big surprise, Patrick Stewart walked on stage, and everyone just assumed it was obviously going to be him just being there having a chat, but he came up. So this is from Patrick Stewart. I will always be very proud to have been a part of Star Trek The Next Generation, but when we wrapped filming the final movie in spring of 2002, I truly felt my time with Star Trek had run its natural course. It is therefore an unexpected but delightful surprise to find myself excited and invigorated to be returning to Jean-Luc Picard and to explore new dimensions within him, seeking out new life for him when I thought that life was over. During these past years, it has been humbling to hear many stories about how the next generation brought people comfort, saw them through difficult periods in their lives, or how examples of Jean-Luc Picard inspired so many to follow in his footsteps, pursuing science, exploration, and leadership. I feel I'm ready to return to him for the same reason, to research and experience what comforting and reforming light he might shine on these often very dark times. I look forward to working with our brilliant creative team as we endeavour to bring a fresh, unexpected and pertinent story to life once more. Now, Alex Kurtzman, he'll be the producer, he had, with overwhelming joy, it's a privilege to welcome Sir Patrick Stewart back to the Star Trek fold. For over 20 years, fans have hoped for the return of Captain Jean-Luc Picard, and that day is finally here. We can't wait to forge new ground, surprise people, and honour generations both new and old. So, I don't know, there is nothing else about this at the moment. Now, I'd be surprised if this was anything to do with Discovery, because obviously Discovery is a Netflix series and it's on Netflix, not CBS All Access. So I'm unsure what they're doing here, to be honest, but I'm so excited for it because I'm a big Star Trek fan, and the reason I am that is because of The Next Generation. It's by far one of my favourite TV series ever made, and even to this day, it was so ahead of its time for the technology used in it. I mean, you look back at that now, and we have a lot of the technology from the next gen exist. The tablets that they use to talk to each other, it's there, man. It's just Sky. It's what we're doing now, Sky.
We're also very lucky as well that we have still with us the full cast. So if they wanted to, have an interaction with the Enterprise in another dimension, and they could have the full cast there, couldn't they?
Yeah, well, they could, but the thing is, Patrick Stewart doesn't age, right? He still looks the same as he did in 2002. Whereas Jonathan Frakes is looking a little bit bulkier around the midsection and a little greyer on top.
That doesn't matter. If they announce a show and say, well, at the end of 2019, this is what we're going to do, or 2020, then those guys will get themselves in perfect condition.
What do you think of his Admiral Jean-Luc Picard?
Well, that's very likely, isn't it?
Yeah, it is indeed. I'm so excited for this because, for me,
we may even not even get a series. We might get a movie. I mean, there's that possibility.
I think this is strange. I think it is very strange because, as far as I was aware, through hearing from Patrick Stewart in the past, he was done with Jean-Luc Picard. So I think they must have something good here to get him back on board.
Are we looking at perhaps getting another movie by JJ after this? Do you think back into the Star Trek universe?
Well, because that's the Kelvin timeline and the Prime timeline, isn't it? Mm-hmm. There's no reason in my eyes why, if JJ did this, he's got the cojones and the playability with he can pull the strings, I think, with studios to maybe really mix this up a bit and pull in some of the Discovery timeline. Is Discovery in Kelvin or Prime? I'm not sure. I'm going to have to look into this.
Yes.
But I think he was got the strings. If he's had, Spock in the original in it, didn't he? Spock Prime, and he had obviously Kelvin timeline Spock. What's to say that he couldn't get Jean-Luc Picard in there as well?
It's a real possibility. And we saw, with Beyond that Simon Pegg can do a fair decent job in script writing.
Huh? Yeah. Do you know what I think Beyond, because it didn't do as well as the other two, and I have a feeling that that's because when I watched Beyond, it felt like a really long Star Trek episode. The other two felt like Hollywood movies that were Star Trek and used the IP, and I loved it, and they were great. Simon Pegg is a big Star Wars and Star Trek and sci-fi nerd, and he wrote a Star Trek episode. And for me, that was great, because I was watching... I don't like the original series of Star Trek. It's not my thing. I can appreciate it, but I don't enjoy watching it. I love these new films. And he took the characters and the style that I loved and wrote an original series episode that was 2 hours long. And he nailed it. He absolutely nailed it. And if we get another film, maybe by JJ, written by Simon Pegg, with these guys in it, what more could you want?
I agree. I think the problem I've got with the original series is, since the original series came out and more information has come out about William Shatner, I find watching the original series now very difficult, as well as the films. I think I sent you a little clip not long ago, didn't I, by Will Wheaton, where he talks about his meetings with Bill Shatner, and he didn't sound particularly friendly fella, did he?
I think he's
it's happening. I think at the end of the day, we know that there's something going on, and so we'll keep our ears to the ground for our listener and keep informed. So let's come on to some gaming news, mate, because one thing that we've posted on our Facebook page, and I know we may probably well have posted a photograph of this on our Instagram, is the Nintendo NES plug and play machine. Now that retails at around £70. Am I right? Is that around the right?
Yeah.
And it has just been announced that it was the best-selling games system of the last few months. Now that's incredible.
It is. Yeah.
It's incredible. Now the question is, NES stands for Nintendo Entertainment System, am I right?
Yep.
Now, is this a console, or is this an entertainment system? Because I think what I've seen is that there's been a little bit of a backlash from fans, from gamers saying, well, it's not actually a console because you can't multiplayer. It's not in, it hasn't got HDMI, it hasn't got this, hasn't got that.
Sorry, I'm not following this. This is silly. It's called the Nintendo Entertainment System, and it's a console.
I think you've answered, like myself, the question. It's a console, isn't it?
It's a bloody console, mate. And I actually, if people said this to me, I think this is the only time I'm going to get annoyed with them, because that is just internet trolls being internet trolls and just not happy with anything. Does it matter? It's 30 odd years old, and it is what it is, and it's fantastic, and it's the best-selling console of the last few months. It's done. There isn't really much there to argue with.
Let's go on this positive note that I was in Mankind today, and they do have that system in their store.
Oh.
And so, guys, get yourself a Nintendo NES mini system. Now, how many games has this got preloaded? Can you remember?
It's 80, isn't it?
It's got 80 games
let me just
preloaded. I think it does. I think it's got 80 games preloaded. Now, obviously, you can't plug in your old games cartridge into that, but you wouldn't need to if you've got 80 games already ready to plug and play.
The NES Classic, yeah. It's no, you don't, because the games that are on there are the ones you'd want. Unless you're really looking for something that's quite niche.
You're not going to find that.
There isn't, I mean, it's a strange one, that.
But isn't that incredible that this little mini console has been the best-selling machine over the last few months? It's really incredible, and there are plenty of them about. It's not like it's like
30 games.
30 games, is it? Okay. Well, it's not like a system that you can't buy for love or money and is driving parents mad trying to find one for birthday and Christmas. You can actually readily go and get this. Talking of parents, parents are now paying Fortnite players to tutor their kids. I don't know if you heard this news, but this is where it starts to get a little bit silly. So kids are obviously going to school. Oh, I'm getting bullied and humiliated because I only come 16th on Fortnite. Oh no, what we'll do is we'll pay some players to teach you. And not only are the kids getting taught tuition to play better Fortnite, but also the parents are as well, so they don't look humiliated and they can play along with their kids. It's rather ridiculous because, you know, kids could do with extra math lessons and English lessons, and actually in the States they could do some geography lessons from my experience. But, you know, it's very, very strange that this is happening.
Mate, I think this is a moment where Child Protection Services need to be called and people really need to reevaluate their life choices. If you think that raising a child and the best thing for them is to get lessons on Fortnite is best for them is absolutely
one particular
mental.
Source said that they had 1,400 contract coaches to help teach kids and adults to play better Fortnite. It's very, very peculiar. Other news, James Gunn has still not been reassigned to direct Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, despite the fact that cast and crew signed a very lovely sort of petitional letter saying, please forgive him, he's a great guy, it was in the past, can we just move on please? But Disney aren't budging on that.
Disney can't budge on this, mate. I mean,
they've made the decision, haven't they?
They've made the decision and they'll stick with it. I don't agree necessarily with it either way. However, I would actually think I would be more annoyed with them now going back on it, because it doesn't need that sort of drama. Disney know that. They've fired a lot of people over the last few years on films for the right reasons. Don't get me wrong, I've seen Solo, and as much as I love Lord and Miller's work, I'm happy with what we've got. So they made a right decision there in my eyes. But going back on it is so weak. It's weak to go back on a decision like that. You can't fire someone in a public eye on such a caliber of a movie and then turn around a couple of weeks later and go, oh, the cast weren't happy with it, so we've taken him back on. Because I tell you what, if I was James Gunn, they would be getting an email of me sticking my middle finger up at them if they asked me to come back for that.
That's very rude.
I can be a rude person, but if they fired you off of a project like that in the public eye and dragged your name through the mud for something you did 10 years ago, I wouldn't want to work for that company, no matter how many zeros they want, because he doesn't need their money. I mean, the guy can go somewhere else and he'll get picked up, and like I say, he'll still make movies. And I wouldn't want to work for a company that would do that to you. So it's done in my eyes, and I think all those guys were doing, the cast of Guardians, were basically showing their support to say to the public, don't lambast this guy, don't drag him through the mud, don't make him the enemy in this. You know, they're still working for Disney, so they're obviously, you know, money does talk for them. They're not going to turn around and go, well, we're not doing it. They're locked into contracts. They have to do these. But I tell you what, I bet there is a big shake-up going on behind those scenes that we're not seeing. And Disney are probably having to do a lot of pandering to their needs right now for keeping Chris Pratt and Zoe Saldana and that happy with the future here. And
what's a shame is that actually at the end of the day, Marvel booked James Gunn. Marvel did. And it sounds like, you know, the top knobs at the top have decided, well, we're the bosses at the end of the day. And, you know, what's a shame is that, you know, we've got Deadpool, which is rated R. We've got Venom forthcoming, which is going to be a rated R. And Logan, which is rated R. And James Gunn has said some rated R stuff, and that's not so good. Anyway, Venom 2 trailer. Did you see it? Did you like it? What did you think?
Mate, I don't like it.
Why is it not calling to you, this trailer?
I think Tom Hardy sounds like he's slightly special and might need some of this Fortnite coaching. He just doesn't, it just doesn't ring true to me. He sounds like he's special needs. I'm not trying to be un-PC here, but the way his accent comes across, he just sounds a little bit not with it. And I don't like that part of it. I don't like the humour in the whole thing where he's talking to Venom. I know he needs to talk to Venom, but it needs to be darker for me. I don't like how Venom looks. I don't like this, the bit where the face half comes off and it shows his face and he's tall. I don't like all of that. I just didn't. There was nothing about this, and it doesn't really tell you a story. It doesn't tell you what is going on in this movie, really. There's just a lot of shots, and they seem to be. I think they're trying to patch some badness that they put out with the first trailer. A lot of the negativity of, well, we didn't see much Venom. Oh, I bet we only get to see him right at because originally the word on the street was that we was not going to see Venom in this movie until the final act. And they need to not do that. They need to get into this movie and have Venom be in front and centre with Tom Hardy. Now, I love Tom Hardy.
I thought it looked great. I thought it looked very exciting.
Let's hear your side, because we're a positive podcast, and I
like the way that he's connecting with his symbiote. I like the way he transforms into it. I really like the sort of half-face moment. I like the way Venom looks. Thoroughly love the way it looks, and I think it's going to have. I think it's going to have some very dark moments. I think Tom's going to probably do the best voice he can possibly do with whatever American accent he's going to use, and we'll get used to it by the end of it. I mean, we've heard him as Bane, and let's face it, that was not the best voice in the world. But
yes, it was for him.
For him, it was great.
There you go, boys and girls. There you go, boys and girls. Opinions. That's what it's all about, isn't it? You thought it looked great. I thought it looked terrible.
I thought it was really good.
Neither of us are wrong. Neither of us are wrong in this scenario here. We're all allowed to have our opinions, and that's what we're here for. And when you come to Retro Inc., you get the best of both worlds, don't you? You don't just get a one-sided biased opinion here, Although Adam is wrong and I'm right. Okay, so don't watch Venom.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Irony. He's full of irony. Okay, let's have a look at this as well, right? Predator. We also had a new Predator Japanese poster, and it showed that heat sensitive sort of camera shot of him, and I really loved that. It looked really good. We popped that on the Facebook page. Really like that poster, and looking forward to that. That's drawing nearer and nearer.
Yes, I'm looking forward to that. I think we've got to go into this Predator film
with a very open mind.
An open mind and different mindset. Yes, we're not getting Arnie in the jungle with a load of machismo.
Can you just give me a little very quick, if you can remember, Predators, which was the third film?
With Caviezel. No, it's not Caviezel, is it? It's what's his name?
I don't know. Somehow I've skipped Predator 3. I definitely remember 2.
Predators, I love.
Obviously, I know AVPs, no problem at all. But Predators.
What is his name? It's Adrian Brody. That's it. So This actually took me totally out of the blue, this movie, because I was really surprised when I saw Predators come out. I'd fallen out.
How old is this film now? 10, 15 years old?
2007, wasn't it? Let me just quickly Googleize that one. But I remember this. I'd fallen out of love with the AVP franchise and the Predator in general. I just kind of thought, you're just treading the same tropes here, and it was getting a little bit boring. So I didn't actually watch Predators until it came out on Sky. And I'm just trying to look for it now, and it's just not even on IMDb. Just weird. But anyway, I'm not going to forget that. I didn't watch this until it came out on Sky, and then I put it on one night, and I tell you what, I was so pleasantly surprised, especially with the twist. So it starts off with Adrian Brody falling through the sky. And parachute opens and he has no idea what's going on. He lands in the middle of this jungle, and this was what threw me, and this is what actually captured my attention, was Adrian Brody playing a macho army guy, like this special forces Navy SEAL-esque commando. And I thought, well, this is a bit weird, because that is not Adrian Brody. The last time I saw Adrian Brody in anything was King Kong, and he was playing a writer. It's one of those, this is a bit weird for him. And obviously he meets up with these other people in the jungle that are all butch macho, kick-ass, types. You've got a Yakuza guy, you've got a Russian, your stereotypically Russian hench guy with a buzz cut, and, you got all of these people. and they all turn out to be something special from, you know, like I say, so something from something. And, yeah, they're all going through the jungle and they suddenly realise there's something else going on here. And, the bit that clinched me, so spoilers if anyone's not seen this was so clever, was when they walk and turn the corner, they see the vista and the sky opens up and there's like 2 moons in the sky. And they suddenly realise they are not on Earth anymore. And each one of them entered the planet the same way, falling through the sky with a parachute opening with no recollection of how they got there. Mm-hmm. And the whole point was, instead of the Predator coming to them, the Predator had taken them to the planet and they were being used to hunt. And I loved it. I thought it was a really fun movie. And that's what the Predator franchise to me needed to do, was reinvigorate itself to be something slightly different. Because let's be honest, if you actually look at the Predator, it's such a product of his time. Is this, you know, almost like flip-flop wearing, he's got cool dreadlocks and he looks a bit weird, to be honest with you. This netting on his wrist, he's not built for combat, right? And it's, they really upped the ante with it for me. They really made it something fresh and new with that. And when I first saw the Predator trailer for this new Predator movie, I wasn't that interested. But the more it's gone on, I'm actually thinking to myself, this is looking a little bit different. And that's what I want to see from this franchise. I want to see what this movie brings to that. And can it make the Predator something that it needs to be for modern audiences, you know?
Thanks for recording the third one, Big Predators, because as soon as you started to just give me that little bit of info, it completely came back. I saw a Blu-ray of it today, all 3 movies on a Blu-ray for £4. So, you know, that was a bargain. I wish I'd picked that up now.
I mean, I don't like the second film, Predator 2. I just didn't really think much of it. It's just, again, it's a real 80s macho cop film, essentially, with a predator in it that, you know, is a bit weird, to be honest with you, as a sequel. The first one's a classic. There's no denying the first one being a classic. But yeah, I just want to see this character that's got so much, I'll say depth, because he hasn't really, he just goes around killing things, but so much potential for depth. You know, we've seen it with the Alien franchise. Now, love it or hate it, Prometheus is the Marmite of the Alien world. I love it personally. Absolutely. But it brought so much history and myth and depth to these characters that are black, shiny killing machines that just run around murdering stuff. And they didn't need to be that there, but they brought something to this some history to this character, to this product. Predator has not really got that. And I want to see some, and that's what I want to see in this movie. I want to see some more depth to the Predator. I want to see them build this into potentially a new franchise, which we can look forward to another film rather than sit there going, oh, what are they bringing us this time? You know? Mm-hmm.
Well, I think that pretty much wraps up all the news that we've had, or we can certainly muster up for this week. I want to thank a few people, Mr. David Donovan, for interacting with us, and Connor as well on our Facebook page. It was really cool having a little chat with you guys this week. But I tell you what was really quite amazing was the amount of sort of feedback we got from how to open a book correctly. So I was really chuffed at how how well that went down.
So on that note, we're going to stop podcasting about retro stuff and we're going to do a book cast, aren't we?
Yeah, well, you know, it isn't it. It's always informative, I think, Retro Inc. But David had this little post. He just said, super fun episode, lads. Touched on a major problem that I have. I've got loads of posh, fancy hardback editions of books. I love Tolkien, Hobbit, and Hob. Tolkien, Hob, and some Star Wars ones, but they're pure shelf decoration. I can't have them getting wrecked. It's like your granny's good old china was never used for just display, he said. I'll look up how to properly stretch the spine, and thank you for that. Didn't know there was a joy to do it. And Connor also replied saying, you know, always informative, Retroing, and very interesting information. You know, that's what we try and do, is just bring a little bit of everything to our podcast. And the thing is, you know, for a long time, you know, books have been a staple part of any man cave, hasn't it, and library. And you know, when you buy a beloved hardback, you want to make sure that it stretches the spine correctly, so you can keep your book or your comics pristine. So there you go, a little bit of info for you guys. And once again, we are both thrilled for our recent connection to the Star Wars Commonwealth podcast network. We are absolutely thrilled, and we'll be keeping you more informed on further developments. With that, I thank myself, and I thank my co-host Andy for joining me on today's Retro Inc. podcast.
Dave, there is another way of straightening out the spine as well. It's called a chiropractor, mate. If you go see them, they'll make your spine lovely and straight and open it up with no problems. Okay? I've got a number if you need one.
Thanks very much for listening, guys, and we'll see you next time.
Bye!